Many things that Donald Trump does are historic. Twice impeached, multiply indicted, convicted of 34 counts, and yet won the presidency. And here's a new one. His polling numbers are now heading well below Jimmy Carter in the middle of a recession. It took Jimmy Carter 11 months to have his disapproval rating end up at negative 2%. 11 months. Donald Trump has just over 2 months, and he's at negative 12, meaning the delta between his approval and disapproval is now negative 12%. Voters want their vote back. They didn't vote to have their 401k, financial security destroyed, inflation, joblessness, and a tariff war where they're going to get crushed. I'm Michael Popok, speaking truth to each other here on Legal AF. This was so shocking that the analyst for CNN was almost breathless in how he made this presentation. He pointed out two facts, and they are correlated, and they do go together. The first fact, that Donald Trump has killed a roaring bull market. We call it a bull market for a reason, because it is, the running of the bulls. It is big. It is powerful. It destroys everything in its path. That's what he inherited from Joe Biden. Joe Biden handed him a bull market. Stock market up every year of Joe Biden. Jobs high. Unemployment low. Inflation trending in the right direction. More money in your pocketbook. More Americans working. Consumer confidence up. And the worldwide trade open for business. What did Donald Trump do at that now ill-fated misnomer of Liberation Day, right up there with mission accomplished and the Rose Garden just Wednesday? I'm so nostalgic for last Tuesday, before he destroyed my financial security. Apparently that's what we're being liberated from. What happened? 15-point, actually almost 20-point drop in the Standard & Poor 500 index, which is the greatest drop in the history of the index going back like 75 years. No president has ever inherited a bull market and within the first part of its presidency killed the bull market and sent it soaring into bear territory as quickly as Donald Trump. The only person that ever had a 15-point drop in the market like this was George W. Bush, a one-termer for a reason. And that was only because he inherited not a bull market, but a terrible bear market coming off the dot-com bust, the dot-com bubble bust. So no president in history but Donald Trump has converted a roaring bull market into a bear market as quickly as Donald Trump, overnight. Now, in fact, let me show you the clip of almost the out of breath CNN reporter here on this particular issue. I think you're going to get a kick out of it. Let's see Harry Enton and his reporting, tying the 15-point drop to Donald Trump crashing through the barrier of what is often considered to be one of the worst presidencies. Not a president, great guy, Jimmy Carter, great ex-president. But as a president, a lot of malaise, a lot of economic problems, a lot of gas lines, a lot of stagflation. The long national nightmare is over, is what Reagan said as he took over for Carter. That. He's crashed below that. 600 times worse is Donald Trump at this point. It has finally seeped into the water supply. Voters hate Donald Trump. Let's play the clip.
Yeah, if this is pretty normal stuff, I'd like to know what not normal stuff is. If this is a boom, I'd like to know what a bust is. I mean, my goodness gracious. We'll talk about it. Talk about the S&P 500. It's dropped 15% under Donald Trump's presidency. The S&P 500 has been collecting data essentially since 1957. It's been an index. I went back and I looked for drops of 15% with a president who was inheriting a bull market. There's only one dude on your screen. It's Donald John Trump. He is the only one to see a drop of 15% this soon into his presidency in the S&P 500 after inheriting a bull market. In fact, there's only one other president who has seen a drop of 15% this early on in his presidency, and that was George W. Bush back in 2001. But of course, he was in fact inheriting the dot-com bubble bust. And so this is truly unique, where you come in with a bull market and then boom, right through the floor, Donald Trump, the S&P 500 dropping already 15%, Jessica.
And so there's the market, but then there's the chance of broader economic problems. And that chance is right. That possibility is rising, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. A chance of a recession, something none of us want to see. And what's the chance of a recession? I mean, J.P. Morgan, look at this, now up to 60%. It was 40% in early March. How about Goldman Sachs? It was 20% in early March. We're now up to 35%. Basically, at this point, you average all these different companies together who put forecasts out on the chance of a recession. It's about 50-50, way up from where we were at the beginning of this year. Poly market, where you can trade, was, I think, a 30% chance at the beginning of the year. Now it's 60%. No bueno. What stays in the stock market, what happens in the stock market may not stay in the stock market, Jessica.
And Americans do seem to be having an issue with how Trump is handling the economy right now.
Yeah, I mean, you look at these numbers, you wouldn't be surprised to see Donald Trump's net approval rating. Compare it now to where it was at this point in the first term. In the first term, he was above water at plus 5 points. Where is he now? He's way underwater. He is swimming with the fishes. Look at this. He is the worst ever for a president at this point in a term, on record at minus 12 points. I just never thought I would see the day, because as we were hinting at the beginning, Trump promised an economic boom. Voters bought into it, but so far they ain't liking what they're seeing.
So on one hand, and I'm trying to figure out who his audience is, Donald Trump has lost the confidence completely of Wall Street. Bill Ackman for Pershing Square, who runs a huge hedge fund, supported Donald Trump with 33 reasons why I'm voting for Donald Trump. And I used to be a Democrat before the election and after the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. He's going to be great for the economy. I don't care about tariffs, he once said. Tariffs, as long as they try to bring jobs back. Let's do that. Oh, pro-Trump. Now, new Bill Ackman. Who's now attacking Donald Trump on behalf of all of Wall Street. He's the proxy. He's the canary in the coal mine. He's saying you just created a economic nuclear winter of your own creation, hurtling us into recession. Put the brakes on it, and the people around you stink. They're terrible. That's Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman just attacked Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, the bald guy with the beard, runs up there with the chart. Hey, Howard, do we have the chart, Howard, of the tariffs? Yeah, we got it right here, boss. There we go. We always agree with the president. Yeah. Bill Ackman pointed out the irreconcilable conflict of interest that I actually did a hot take on, because Donald Trump's main family business, Cantor Fitzgerald, makes a lot of money when the economy goes in the shitter. So Bill Ackman said, you maybe don't want to have a commerce secretary whose main business is tied to the economy going into the crapper, because he benefits when the economy shits the bed. Right? Who is around Donald Trump giving him advice? So he's lost Wall Street. Soon as they saw that Donald Trump wasn't taking advice any longer from Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, who Wall Street trusted, like, all right, well, Trump's a lunatic. Howard Lutnick runs a company that likes things being upside down and making money on brokerage, and the velocity and the tumultuousness of the economy is good for his business. All right, but at least he's got Scott Bessent. He doesn't have Janet Yellen, an economist, as his Treasury Secretary. At least we got Jay Powell, the Federal Reserve Chairman, adult in the room, and Scott Bessent. He's not really a tariff hawk. This will be good. Wrong. Scott Bessent he's not anywhere near the driver's seat. He's not even in the front seat. He's in the back seat. He's in the third row. And Donald Trump is driving this car with the bridge out ahead, with the American economy at the wheel. He's got Peter Navarro, fresh out of jail, as his economic advisor. Howard Lutnick, who makes money. His company makes money when the economy goes in the crapper. Where's the Council of Economic Advisors? Who is the Council of Economic Advisors? Where are they? Donald Trump barely graduated Wharton School of Business and took daddy's giant money and turned it into less over time. Okay? So if you lost Wall Street and now you've lost the average middle class voter, what's your voting block? I don't get it. What's your business model? I don't really understand it. And now nobody else does either. This is the takeaway from this hot take. Donald Trump is now below Jimmy Carter, and it took him only 2.5 months to do it. Jimmy Carter took 11 months. And he ended up only at a negative 2% favorability rating. You just heard Donald Trump now at negative 12. And it's not going to get any better. Because the thing Donald Trump tells people he wants to accomplish, I'm bringing jobs back. The tariffs will force more American manufacturing. Are you effing out of your mind? Do you know how long that would take and how many different other policies and things would have to fall into place in order for manufacturing jobs to come back in huge numbers in America to make this worth it? It would take years. It would take a decade to accomplish this. He doesn't have a decade. We don't have a decade. He's got less than 2 years to the midterm. He's done. If this isn't a blue wave and a red massacre, remember the red wedding on Game of Thrones? This is going to be the red wedding. And everybody's going to pull a knife out and kill and slaughter everybody else that's got an R next to their name at voting time. Just going to happen. So that's not going to get accomplished. The short term is the long term. John Kennedy, the senator from Louisiana, said, in the long term, we're all going to be dead under these policies. Yes, I totally agree with that. Wow. Who would have thought? He thinks he got, this is his problem. Donald Trump, who's criminally insane, thinks he got elected for immigration because we were worried and people in Idaho were worried about the border. Okay. It's an interesting talking point. I'd like to have a more humane, dignified immigration policy. Sure, I'd like to find a pathway to citizenship for hardworking people, 11 million of them that live in this country in undocumented or fragile status. Let's do that. I come from immigrants. My grandfathers came over on a boat, through Ellis Island, both of them separately. I'm all for that, deporting criminals to rot in El Salvador in jail. I didn't really sign up for that. But so that Donald Trump thinks his major trigger with the American people that got him elected was immigration and the border. It's not. It's always the same thing in America. It's the economy, stupid. That's what the Clinton campaign told itself as it ran against Bush. It's the economy, stupid. It's always the economy. It's always kitchen, purse, pocketbook, wallet issues. How you live check to check, how you pay for your kids' school or supplies, how you pay to help loved ones who are ill or older, how you pay for your own retirement, how you pay the electric bill, how you shop for eggs. It's always the economy. And Donald Trump ain't delivering on it. He just killed it. Okay? I saw some callous quote about people living, Buffy and Biff living in Palm Beach, all tan, and they're just, nobody's talking about the tariffs. The guy actually said this, a multi-billionaire actually said this to a reporter in Palm Beach. No one's talking about the tariffs. The conversation around the cocktail party with all the Grey Poupon being passed on silver trays, we're not talking about the tariffs. One merchant in Palm Beach said, yeah, they lost $100 million today, but it doesn't hurt them. Yeah, but it hurts you when it ends up being a $5,000 tax on you because of the tariff war every year. Because whatever you were living on before Wednesday last week, you now got to figure out how to bring in $500 more a month, $125 more a week. How are you going to do that? Your employer's not going to give it to you. Your investments aren't going to give it to you. You're going to start running. I guess we all become Uber drivers. We'll all become Uber drivers in the new economy. This is the callousness of the Trump administration. They don't care. I do. You're on Legal AF. Take a moment, hit the subscribe button. We're continuing to grow this channel with your support. And I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.